Israel's enemies are the gift that never stops giving, offering endless displays of malice and barbarism. After the disgraceful ceasefire with Lebanon, Israel experienced a fleeting moment of relative quiet, fewer air raid sirens and fewer families rushing to the bomb shelters. But into this brief calm stepped the Yemeni Houthi group, an arm of Iran's proxies network. Armed with long-range missiles, the Houthis have made it their mission to jolt Israelis awake in the dead of the night, launching missiles timed perfectly to strike fear and disrupt lives at 2 a.m. Who are the Houthis? The Houthis, formerly known as Ansar Allah, are a Shia Islamist political and militant group originating from northern Yemen with deep ties to Iran. Emerging in the 1990s as a Zaidi Shia revivalist movement, they evolved into a dominant political and military force after seizing Yemen's capital, Sana'a, in 2014. Their official slogan, which appears on their beautiful flag, is a chilling rallying cry: "Death to America, death to Israel, curse on the Jews, victory to Islam." This motto reflects the group's core anti-Semitic and anti-Western ideology, aligning closely with the ambitions of the Islamic Republic of Iran's ideology. Unlike Hezbollah and Hamas, who share a profound hatred of the West but attempt to cloak it under political posturing, the Houthis make no such effort. Since the early months of October 7th war, the Houthis have actively joined the Palestinian offensive by launching drones and missiles at Israel. They've also escalated international tensions by raiding ships at the Bab el-Mandab Strait, causing billions of dollars in damages to global trade and blockading Israel's southern port of Eilat. In response, the United States and the United Kingdom have formed an international coalition to counter these dangerous Houthi raids on trading ships, though so far their efforts have failed to neutralize them effectively. Indeed, the Houthis are a primitive savage tribe who are deeply rooted in fundamentalist Islam, are indeed not a great danger to the West. Their whole existence is thanks to their smuggling operations through their port of El Hodeidah and their Iranian patrons. Their survival and continued existence is not a sign of their great strength, but rather a glaring indictment of the West's moral cowardice and failure to stand up to a group which is purely evil. The fact that this group, openly sworn to fight the West to the death, has not been eliminated within days is a stark reminder of the West's spinelessness to take decisive action against those who openly declare war on its core values and its very existence. Since the start of the war, Israel has largely refrained from significant retaliation against the Houthi attacks, as these strikes cause minimal damage and no casualties. American pressure on Israel also heavily influenced this restraint to avoid escalating the conflict further. However, this policy shifted dramatically after a Houthi drone managed to penetrate Israel's robust air defenses, killing a civilian in Tel Aviv. This marked a turning point, leading to an unprecedented Israeli airstrike on the El Hodeidah port on July 20th. The attack, executed at a distance of over 1,800 kilometers, was one of the longest-range operations ever conducted by the Israeli Air Force. The strike targeted the heart of the Houthis' smuggling operation, signaling that Israel would no longer tolerate threats from even the most distant adversaries, regardless of external diplomatic pressures. Since that historic airstrike, Houthi attacks on Israel have only intensified. While there have been no further fatalities, a few dozen Israelis have unfortunately been injured in subsequent strikes. In response, Israel conducted 2 additional airstrikes, one on September 20th and another on December 19th. Despite these efforts, the attacks have proven ineffective in eliminating the Houthi threat, which continues to pose a persistent challenge to the Israelis' sleep. So far, the damage inflicted by Israel on the Houthis far outweighs the impact the Houthis have had on Israelis. Despite their intensified attacks, the Houthis' actions have amounted to little more than a few disturbed nights and a handful of light injuries. In contrast, Israel's airstrikes have not only disrupted Houthi smuggling operations, but also showcased the Israeli Air Force's ability to conduct precision strikes over a vast distance, well beyond 1,800 kilometers. This serves as a strategic demonstration of Israel's capability to target critical infrastructure, including, potentially, Iranian oil facilities and nuclear sites. This sends a strong signal that Israel is ready to address broader regional threats, if necessary. Nevertheless, the fact that the Houthis have been able to disrupt global trade and launch dangerous projectiles at Israeli civilians for over a year underscores a troubling moral weakness. Granted, Israel's resources are finite, and striking Yemen poses logistical challenges, particularly with more persisting fronts such as Iran, Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon. However, allowing such provocations to persist sends a dangerous message of tolerating aggression. Israel should adopt a policy of responding to threats with overwhelming, disproportionate force. For instance, instead of merely neutralizing the Al Hudaydah port, Israel should have obliterated it entirely. The fact that Israel has had to strike the same port 3 times is a sign that not enough is being done. A dramatic, decisive operation could have sent a far clearer message to Israel's numerous enemies. In this recent strike, Israel attacked the Sana's international airport, but it seems that the attack caused minimal damage, making it possible for the Houthis to reopen the airport within days. So what has to be done? The Houthis are not an isolated threat, but part of a much larger, more dangerous network of proxies orchestrated by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Their missiles, their drones, the smuggling operations, and even their Islamist ideology are all powered by Iranian support. Iran's fingerprints are evident not only in Iran but across the region, in Lebanon through Hezbollah, in Gaza through Hamas, and in its own relentless push for nuclear capability. The Houthi attacks are a symptom of a far greater disease, Iran's ambition to conquer the Middle East and eliminate Israel's existence. Without addressing the root of the problem, which is Iran itself, neutralizing the Houthis or any other Iranian proxy will always be a temporary solution. Iran represents the single greatest existential threat to Israel and the primary obstacle to peace in the Middle East. If Israel is to fulfill its moral obligation to protect its citizens, it must strike Iran decisively, crippling its economy, crippling its nuclear program, and ideally removing the evil mullah regime. Such action would not only safeguard Israel's existence, but also bring justice to the suffering Iranian people and provide peace of mind to the Israelis. Furthermore, unless Israel conducts a truly decisive and dramatic strikes in Yemen, the Houthis will continue launching missiles and drones towards Tel Aviv, and thus disturbing the sleep of so many Israelis. Ultimately, the only way to neutralize the Houthi threat, which is serious, and the Hezbollah threat, alongside the rest of the numerous threats facing Israel in 7 different fronts, the most cost-effective way to do so, and the most effective way, would be to eliminate the Ayatollah regime in Iran. It is Israel's moral imperative. It is difficult. It is a dangerous mission that requires great courage and leadership, but it is what must be done. And it must be done as soon as possible so that Iran will not have nuclear weapons. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please like it, share it with your mates, share your feedback with me in the comment sections and consider supporting me on Buy Me Coffee. Let us hope that this year of 2025 will finally bring peace in the Middle East and freedom for the suffering people under these terrible, oppressive, theocratic regimes.